Astur, Theth, Liber Estherae, Caput 9. Now, in the 12th month, that is the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them, the Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all the peoples, and all the rulers of the provinces, and the lieutenants, and the governors, and they that attended to the business of the king, helped the Jews because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them, for Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces, for this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. And in Shushan, the palace of the Jews, slew and destroyed 500 men, and Parshandatha, and Dalphon, and Aspatha, and Poratha, and Adalia, and Ardatha, and Parmashta, and Arsay, and Arday, and Vayazatha, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hamadatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they. Well, why wasn't it just limited to Haman and his conspirators? But on the spoil laid they not their hand. On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan, the palace, was brought before the king. And some accounts say that it was 78,000 people. And to this day, there are Persians that celebrate the fact that their society survived such genocide unprovoked. Because even this, you're not seeing any evidence it was anything other than the one family. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan, the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now, what is thy petition, and it shall be granted thee? Or what is thy request further, and it shall be done? Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan, to do tomorrow also according to this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. Can't help but think that is symbolic. You know, the theoretical Sephiroth, which is either Keter or Dot, you know, head or the center of the chest, depending on what you're looking at, and then the ones that aren't. And the king commanded it so to be done, and the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan, but on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together, and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000, but they laid not their hands on the prey. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled themselves together on the 13th day thereof, And on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. And therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of the sending portions one to another. And just like Hanukkah, we don't see that this was something that God ordained. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly. As the days wherein the Jews rested for their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning unto a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor. At least it wasn't all just partying, breaking the rules, right? And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agite, and the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast pur, that is, the lot, to confound them and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur, which therefore all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon themselves and upon their seed and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so that it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every year, and that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim, and he sent the letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the feastings, fastings, and their cry. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. And verse 29, Tau Rubti is the note, Wuk Blue Uri is the note, Kaf Aleph, so 21, Wahpil is the note for verse 24. They're fastings, yes. Just like the, well, fasting can be a time of celebration too, but I think the reason why this text was included in Tanakh and in the Bible in general was an example of the priests and political authorities having control over the religious observances. Yet your pay is 19. Yet your is it pay or cough, or what letter is that supposed to be? Because part of it's missing, of course. And verse 9, Semek Aleph Resh Sayura She What Sayur Root? Roop? No, it's not. I don't know. Because it looks like a pay, but that's not the final letter form. Sayura Rupti Resh. Verse 7, Subkalef, Sheen, Sayura, Tau, Sayura. Okay. Wub, Shanim, Asher, Chadush, Huwa, Chadush, Adur, Bashlusha, Asher, Yum, Bu, Asher, Hagia, Deber, Humluk, Wood, Tu, La, Ashut, Yum, Asher, Shabru, Abi, He, Hudim, Lish, Luth, Bahum, One, Hapuk, Huwa, Asher, Yush, Lathu, He, Hudim, Hama, Bush, Nahum, Nuk, Halu, He, Hudim, Baryahum, Bakal, Medinut, Hamluk, At, Shurush, Lish, Lich, Yad, Bum, Bakshi, Ratam, Wish, La, Amd, Bup, Nihas, Ki, Nipple, Pichdum, Al-Kul, Hamim, Wakal, Shri, Hamdinut, Wah, Ach, Shudrupnim, Wah, Pachut, Washi, Hum, Laka, Asher, Lamluk, Man, Shame, At, He, Hudim, Ki, Nipple, Pachud, Murdki, Aliham, Ki, Gadul, Murdki, Bambit, Hamluk, Wishmau, Huluk, Buckle, Humdinut, Ki, Heish, Murdki, Huluk, Wagdul, Wiku, He, Hudim, Buckle, Abiham, Mukt, Chirb, Wahrug, Wabdun, Wiashu, Bushneham, Kurtunum, Wabshushan, Habira, Hargu, Hehudim, Wabd, Chimish, Mount Aish, Pershundata, Wat, Dulpun, Wat, Aspata, Wat, Porta, Wat, Adlya, Wat, Aridta, Wat, Permshta, Wat, Arisi, Wat, Aridi, Wat, Weezta, Ashrut, Bani, Haman, Ben, Hamdata, Tsar, Hehudim, Hargu, Wabza, La, Shulchu, At Yudam, Vyum, Hahwa, Ba, Muspur, Harugim, Bashushan, Habira, Lapni, Hamluk, We Amr, Hamluk, Laster, Hamlukah, Bashushan, Habirah, Hargu, Hehudim, Wabd, Hamsh, Mount Ish, Wat, Ashrat, Bani, Haman, Bashar, Madinut, Hamluk, Mahashu, Mahshaltuk, Weenatanuk, Wamah, Bakchatuk, Aud, Wat, Ash, Wat, Amr, Aster, Al, Hamluk, Thub, Yantun, Mature, Lihwudim, Asher, Bashushan, Lashut, Kadit, Hum wat ashrat bani haman yatlu al hats. We amr hamluk lah ashut kan wat natan dat bashushan wat ashrat bani haman tlu wiklu he hudium asher bashushan yum arbah asher lachdash adur wihragu bashushan shulsh mount ish wib bazah la shulchu at yadam wash ar he hudim asher bamdinut hamluk naqhalu wamad al nipsham wanuch may be ham wahrug bashneham ham chah wash bayam alf wabbaza la shulchu at yidam biyum shlusha asher lichdash adar wanuch barbah asher bu washa atu yum mashtah wash matcha wa yahudiyam asher bashushan naklu bashlusha asher bu wab arbah asher bu wanuch bach masha asher bu washa atu yum mashtah wash matcha alkan he hudim hap vruzim he shabim bari hap razut ashim at yum arbah asher lichdash adar shamcha wam shatta wim thub wam shulch manut ish larahu wiktam murki at hadbrim hala wishlech supreme al kul he hudim asher bakul madinut hamlak at shurush haq rubim wahrachukim laqim aliham lahyut asham at yum arbah asher lichdash adur wat yum chimsha asher lu bakal shanah washna kinim asher nachu baham he hudim may be hum wahdash asher nahpak laham mingun lash matcha wum apple yum thub lashut autum yami mashtah wash matcha wum shuluch manut ish larahu wum tanut labinim wakbul he hudim at asher hatchlu lashut wat asher ktab murki aliham ki Humben Ben Hamdita Hagi Tsard Kul Hudim Chushub al Hudim Labdum Wahpul Pur Wa Hagurul Lahmam Wal Abdum Wabah Lapni Hamluk Amr Am Hasper Yeshub Much Shubtu Her Asher Chushub al Hudim al Rashu Wetlu Atu Wat Benu al Hats al Kun Rau Limim Hala Purim al Shum Hapur al Kun al Kul Debri Hagrat Hazat Wamah Rau al Kaka Wamah Hagya Alihim Qimu Waqbul Hudim Alihim Wal Sram Wal Kul Hen Luyim Alihim Wala Yabur Lahut Ashim At Shani Himim Halah Kaktabim Wukzimnam Bakal Shana Wishna Wahimim Hala Nazkrim Wan Ashim Bakal Dur Wadur Mashpacha Wam Shipcha Medina Wamdina Wayir Weir Wimi Hapurim Hala La Yabru Matuk Hudim was Kerm La Yusuf Mizram Watkatim Aster Hamalaka but Ambichil Wam Rudki Hudi at Kul Takaf Lakim at Agrat Haprim Hazat Hashnim We Shulch Supreme Al Kul Hudim Al Shab'a Washrim Wamah Medina Mulkut at Shurush Debri Shlum Wamt Lakim at Yami Haprim Hala Baz Maniham Kasher Kim Aliham Murki Hudi Waster Hamlaka Wak Asher Kimu Al Nupsham Wal Suram Damri Hatsumut was Aktam Wum Amr Aster Kim Debri Haprim Hala Wan Kutum Busper. Adar means mantle, splendor, goodly, robe, threshing floor, magnificent, glorious, honorable, great, which is also part of the meaning of the last 2 months of the Islamic calendar, Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hijjah. You know, the owner of, possessor of. Amr is answer, point, avouch, bid, boast, call, certify, challenge, charge, command, commune, consider, declare, demand, desire, determine, expressly, indeed, intend, name, plainly, promise, publish, report, identify, require, say, speak, still, suppose, talk, tell, term, that is, think, use, utter, yet, speak, tell, appointed, answer, thing, word, promise, bringing forth, a lamb, Gadol, large, honor, advance, boast, spring up, exceedingly, set by, nourish, promote, proudly, tower, great, guru, magnitude, girl, harsh, a great man, and rough, small stones, a portion, destiny. Pur would be crushing, breaking, utterly taking. And a lot of these nationalistic epics have mention of gambling, don't they? But does it say that Revelation sanctioned their gambling? That inspiration from God did? No. And interesting enough, the story, if it wasn't included in Scripture, you usually find that these stories wouldn't be considered religious if they weren't somehow inserted in the middle of such.